country, and he belongs to the first batch of the diploma of the MSc holders of sports medicine. And then there was a delay in starting sports medicine MD. So it took about 10 years, and he still persisted and persevered in starting the field. And he belongs to the first batch of MD in sports medicine. So with a whole lot of effort and red tape, the much needed sports medicine field has come to existence in Sri Lanka. And we do feel the value of this particular field, because when you do sports, and when the injuries do happen, that's when we need very specialized opinion and help. So Asela does this work in and around Kandy. So today he's going to talk about the fundamentals. He's going to talk on the topic called invest in a healthy life. So without further ado, I invite Dr. Asela Ratnayaka, and I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting lecture. Over to you, Asela.
Good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, thank you very much, Dr. Alexandra, for inviting me to conduct this lecture today at Matale Clinical Society. In fact, Matale is, I would say in outset, it's my initiation of many things, because I did internship here, and also a couple of clinical society lectures and some programs. And thank you very much for your kind introduction and having knowing for such a long period. In fact, we had to stay until our hairs get gray to get the MD, but can't help, but that's it. But anyway, we got it at the end of the day. So today my task is to give you an insight, as well as how the sports medicine, sports and exercise medicine, I would say, contribute to all lives. So I would say it's not only sports people, it's for entire lifespan. I mean, some of the slides will how this exercise is actually starting from neonatal onward. So having this note, so just this is the mortality 2009 and 2019 reports below all levels combined. You can see how 2019 to 2000 from 2009 to 2019 the disease pattern has been you can see. Okay, thanks. 2009 to 2019, one decade, how the disease pattern has been changed and taking part ischemic heart disease at the same place, stroke, and you can see the diabetes has been taking place number 3, whereas the conflict and terror, because it has been settled over the years and come back, and again there are some changes. But I would say on top of that, in Sri Lanka, this is the non-communicable disease risk factor, the STEPS surveillance in 2015, and you can see here at the down here the percentage of insufficient physical activity, that is minimum of 150 minutes per week. You can see in both sexes it is 30.4 and males 20.5, and you can see the females are more inactive compared to males, right? So these are the Sri Lankan reports, but If you go into the global pattern, you can see in 2018 and 2019 reports, 27.5 adults into 81% of adolescents. And you can see the impact of adolescents, and if you forecast them to the future, what is going to happen with in context of their physical fitness, aerobics, and all the benefits out of that. But in 2020 WHO guidelines, we have made actually Sri Lankan contribution also there for this particular issue. And we have established World Health Organization 22 guidelines for physical activity and sedentary behavior. So on top of that, so there were some global actions, as we well known, that's a GAPA, that's a Global Action Plan on Physical Activity. They have actually postulated and they have wanted to establish some kind of a outcome goals when focused in 2013. So there are many the research papers, many scientific publication is being published over this particular area. This is how they analyze the problem of adults as well as the 81% of adolescents issue with insufficient physical activity, especially the aerobics. And if you see the other populations like worldwide trends in insufficient physical activity, again, the new publications all around the world. So we have actually setting up some 4 strategic objectives, which I'm not going to talk much because this is more on planning stage as well as some administration stage, but actually create an active society. So which we're going to do today as well, and create active environment. Again, it is one of the objectives. And active people and create active systems. So all in all, you can think irrespective of whether you are a professional, non-professional, academician, non-academician, whether you are an infant, whether you are a active age group, whether you are a pregnant lady, or whether you are a middle-aged, elderly, so everybody is included, and we are implementing to try this. So on top of that, I would like to give this new concept, that is the wellness concept, because this research in somewhere in 2008, 2006, like in USA, where the traditional health concept, even the WHO recommended health concept was challenged. Why? Even you can see, because we know all these other, the definition of health, we all know, but it has been even changed later in 1984. And they also try to include some kind of a physical activity into it. But if you really go through the definition of wellness, where it is an act, not a concept, right? And you change your lifestyle. That is the most important thing, and some of the behaviors, habits to minimize the risk factors for your health. On top of that, so we need to go for an optimal health and vitality of our life. Actually, now this is come under well-being. So there are different dimensions of the well-being when it comes to this very large concept. So why we want to actually implement this concept through wellness is beyond our health. How we try to, because we all in the professionals in the field of health, but you can see through here, through the wellness concept, actually we have many areas. You can see spiritual wellness, intellectual wellness, emotional wellness, environmental, social, and physical. So here, actually, we are trying to, take something dealing with this physical component. But remember, so at the end of the day, you can add many, the concept into this wellness forum, where financial wellness, your academic wellness, your education. So likewise, it's a huge field. So this is just to illustrate how this illness wellness continuum is existing. And you can see here, if you have a very comfort zone, so I would say it is actually even if you are in a comfort zone, that doesn't mean that you are in the optimum health and vitality, but it is a false wellness in terms of wellness. About cycle of wellness as well as premature death. You can see here, this is developing, and you can see poor health diseases in neutral. The neutral zone is this, but within this neutral zone, we should accomplish the best wellness and the optimal vitality. So you can see here, even the wellness developing, when you are developing, the good health come into that, and optimal health and come, and that is where actually all these things are coming in. Because as you know, sometimes you are well, you'll be fit in all these things, you'll be physically fit, but at the end of the day, you might be having some kind of psychological stress and problems. Okay. 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 So you can see this very complicated the picture. Actually, all these things are merged together, and you ultimately come into this goal. So I mean, so then we come to this particular stage of changes. So that's we call it the trans-theoretical model of behavior change, where actually I think you may have come across this kind of the modules in your life. You actually start with, because some of you guys even here maybe in the pre-complementation phase, because if you want to change your lifestyle, if you want to start exercises program, if you want to include your physical fitness program into your life, you may be in one of these points which we don't know, which we have to understand. So where in the pre-complementation stage, where you don't know anything about what you're going to do, and in contemplation phase, you can see here this, you are aware of the problems and of the desire to behavior change. Now maybe most of us, we know about the problem, we know that we have a problem, but we want actually to, we have some kind of desire. So in preparation phase, actually then we somebody would take up this job, and they'll find it out, and they might inquire about the gym, they may inquire about the exercise program, or you may like go with some other person to go to a gym, or maybe you start some activity in the hospital, you suggest your directors to have a walking path and maybe start a gym or something like that. You are in the preparation phase, and the action phase, actually you start your action. So then the important thing is the maintenance. So out of that, so sometimes you might quit this process at any point. Even you may have your own experience, you may very well jolly well the buy pair of shoes and everything is arranged, you start, and all of a sudden you have so much of excuses and you quit. But only problem is that should not be a complete the quitting program, but you may have a chance to come again and to continue with, because that is where actually we need to stress, and we are trying to how we are going to implement the program. So I'm not going to talk about these things, but just to showcase some slide, because why, we all know as health professionals the benefits of physical activity, or I would say exercise, right? So this is so much of things, and even you can find it out in many divisions. So this is a very important thing again. As you can see here, this is something called PARQ, right? PARQ is Physical Activity Readiness Questionnaire. You can see here Q+, this is a modern version, and very simply, right? If you get a patient, if you want to have, or even by yourself, you can ask for this particular simple 7 questions here. Just tick yes or no, where you screen without any sophisticated methods or technology, where you are ready for your physical fitness. If you anything ticked here, yes, it is where we have to seek for some special advisors or the guidance from either physician or a cardiologist, or maybe respiratory physician or a sports physician, where we sort out the problem. Then we jump into the next stage, where you need some special care. But I would say, if you are everybody about 35 years or of age, it's better at least you take a ECT. But if you have any kind of illnesses which can predispose to hamper or maybe disturb your physical activity program, if I'm talking about a very high intensity program, then it is better to do the cardiac clearance with a Bruce protocol, and we do have. So actually, I'm trying to introduce you this formula and the module to you. That is where you have to base. So in our exercise module, you can't just do haphazardly the way that you think. Think of doing in that module. So any activity, just do a small warm-up program. So now we are thinking about some dynamic stretching, right? What the dynamic stretching is, as you know, most of the times, like if you go to the exercises, even if you get up in the morning, what we do, we just stretched. I mean, that's a natural thing. Sometimes, if I demonstrate you, we do like this kind of a stretching, everybody knows, or sometimes you just do this kind of stretching, right? And those are all static stretching. So now we don't recommend those stretching exercises in the beginning of your training program. We have special things called dynamic stretching, which I will demonstrate few of the exercises to you at the end of my lecture. So then now the modern concept is, I have seen many of you, even if you are over professional people who are doing exercises, when they go to the gym or somewhere, first thing is they get onto the aerobic track, treadmill or a cycle, and they start aerobics, which you should not be done, right? You have to start the resistance program. What is resistance program? You have to do the using machines or the free weights, right? Dumbbells, or using the machines. First, you have to do the resistance program, because that is where people are now getting wrong into the exercise program. Then, if you are done that, it's okay to do the aerobics program. You can, go onto the treadmill and do so your exercises, or cycling, stationary cycling, whatever. Even if you go to outside, but there are some days you will not do the strengthening exercises, but you just do your let's say your Thursday is your aerobic exercise program. Doesn't matter, you go and do that. But if you happen to do both sessions in one day, so you have to do the resistance exercises first. There are reasons for that. Especially if you are a diabetes, that is a must. There's no way that you can start aerobic and then do the resistance, because if you do the aerobics, the chances of getting hypoglycemia is very high. And even in a normal people, now we have recognized, if you do the strengthening exercises first and your muscles activation is far more better than aerobic exercises, because aerobic is only the large muscles are being addressed, and it is being heavily used oxygen, and also in turns the other way, because it consumes a lot of ATPs. So your level of performance to ability to do the exercises also less. And when you do resistance after that, you will have issues, and it's very difficult for you to perform, and you will get hacked at the end. I mean, you will get burdened. So you are not because we want to have a fresh person, like the same status that you before you start your exercise program. Because at the end of exercise program, if you are being burned out, if you are being really tired, so there's something wrong in that program. So we can reduce that problem, overcome that problem by doing the resistance exercises first, right? And then you do the cardiovascular endurance exercises, which I as mentioned. And then it is very important to introduce some balance exercises, which I will show you some of the slides. And even at home, now recommendation for especially elderly people or maybe the middle age, you have to incorporate the balance exercises into your exercise schedule. And when you're doing the cooling down session, getting to normalize your system to the before pre-exercise level, then only we recommend these traditional hour stretching exercises, right? You have to have a small change. So where if you want to have this formula, how we are going to do with this fit program. FITT, very small scale, right? F is how often, how many times that you do exercises per week. Intensity is how hard we are doing. So I'll tell you time, endure, and how long that you are performing your exercises and what type of exercise you are doing. So, and also the volume and progression we are talking about, that fit VP. This is the same way that we prescribe them like medication for a person on your prescription, like we do name of the drug, and also we know the exact amount, milligrams, and the dosage, whether it's TDS, QDS, whatever, 6 hours, then how many days. The same way we have the formula for exercise, which you will never miss any point or any of the things of this program, because that's very important, because otherwise what we, even medical professionals, how we advise the people to do exercise, even ourselves, is very vague. And you just tell, okay, you just walk about 1 or 2 kilometers, right, per day, and come back, okay, and there is no specificity of that particular exercise prescription. So we need to have little bit specific and also go into this formula, right? So you know that definition. I'm not going to talk about aerobic exercises. It uses large muscles, as I told you previously. It's oxygen, and it's a prolonged exercise. Remember, if you do aerobics, that's prolonged. It takes about more than 30 minutes, right? Maybe 1 hour or more, and less intensity. And you don't need to do very high intensity exercises, and especially it is for cardiovascular fitness. So how you measure your intensity? Because this is the most important thing. This is we call FI. This is coming to the I intensity. So we have very subjective measures and physiological relative measures and absolute measures. So having done any of those things depends on your whatever the capacity or the availability of the resources. So let's say very small thing, subjective measures, talk test, right? Very easily we can think, because this intensity is it's a very specialized thing, and it's a very subjective thing. For my, if I have initial fitness level, my intensity level, if moderate, may be not compatible with another person. If you are starting now today, if no one, somebody has never done exercises before, so your levels are very low. But if someone who's already in the process, if we check it, his levels are different. So that is, you remember that principle, because that is why most of the people are very much discouraged when they go there, and if his own colleague or a companion is a very well the trained person, and he's also trying to match himself to his level, where the the results will be disastrous, and you get depressed, and you start putting I can't lift the way that he lift, or I'm failing within 15 minutes, but he's continuing for 1 hour on the treadmill. So many complaints, but that's wrong. So anyway, if you can talk or sing while you are doing any small exercises, that is mild intensity exercises. But if you can talk but not sing, that is moderate for you only. And if you can't talk, if you can't sing, obviously it's going to very strenuous exercises. So that is very subjective, but these capacities can be vary over the time. And there's something called rate of perceived exertion, which I'm going to tell you this one. And you can see here, this is a very simple scale. Forget about this 6 to 20 business. Actually, they have rated this one with a heart rate level, actually 60 per minute, like on, and 200 per minute. But for make user friendly, what they have done is actually started with 0 to 10. You start to exercise, and you think of, right, when you are doing exercise, you think of a number, right? You can see this scale and think, today it's very hard for me, right? So you are in the number 5. So you reduce it by yourself. If it is very hard, go into easy or moderate level, where you will get. I mean, though this is very simple, it appears very simple, If you go on the scientific method, like measuring your own heart rate and reduce, if you want to have a maximum heart rate, 220 minus your own age. So that is your maximum heart rate. So anybody can easily calculate that. And then you think of less than 64% of your maximum heart rate. So that is your mild intensity. You can easily watch, because nowadays you have these fitness the watches and fitness monitors. Easily you can purchase about 7,000, 8,000 rupees maximum, and you will every your details on the screen, a mini screen, and you can easily judge. But if it is the heart rate, your maximum heart rate, calculate out of that. If you calculate 64% to 76 range, but if you can maintain that particular range during exercises, you are doing a moderate activity. But if you try to focus into this, try to hear, it's almost the same, right? So therefore, you don't need actually to have a sometimes fitness monitor, even with this RP scale, you can easily measure it. Like if it is more than 76, we refer it as a strenuous exercise. So I don't want to talk about these things. Anyway, we'll try to get into how you should do an exercises. Remember, for a general person, even in diabetic people, but in weight reduction purpose, obesity is a different thing. And this is much more applicable. So you should do a small warm-up session about 5 to 10 minutes. So remember, don't do more than 10 minutes warm-up, because that's a longer warm-up session. Less than 5 minutes is a shorter warm-up session, but ideal is between 5 to 10 minutes, because I have seen some people do about half an hour warming up session, doing so many stretching programs, so many this thing, that thing, and they enter. It's a wasting of your time, right? And also there's no outcome, no scientific benefit. So then we go on this FIT formula. So how do you do your aerobic exercise program? So you can do 5 days per week, but if you can do it daily basis, that's better, right? And you come in with very light exercises, as I told you, advanced and heavy exercises. Avoid any vigorous exercises initially. Then these are the type of aerobic exercises. It's a huge variety of the options that you have. Brisk walking, you don't need to run, just do the brisk walking. I show you how to do the brisk walking. Cycling, jogging, swimming, running, rowing, aerobic dancing, anything, right? And there are so many things which we can, and you have to do about more than 30 minutes, minimum 30 minutes, but now a recommendation is you can go up to 1 hour, right? Total of 150 minutes, but 300 minutes per week. So you obviously know, if you happen to improve your fitness, then you tend to actually do some vigorous exercises over the time. So therefore, you don't need to do the same 300 formula or 150 minutes. Make it half, so that you can save your time and do it, disturbing your other activities. That's the thing people are doing. They improve over the month. If you do aerobic exercise for 1 month, your fitness level will be improving, and you tend to do more vigorous activities. So then you don't need to do this 150, 300 business. Make it half and do 75 minutes. That's more than enough for the whole week. You get the same benefits, right? So anyway, so this is another thing. Another thing is, if you are not having sufficient time to allocate for your exercise program, what we do is actually the 10 minutes jobs. You can do 10 minutes exercises, but remember, that is not going to cater the entire benefit, but it is some sort of a adaptation and keep the muscle education and the activity in time. So for people who doesn't have time for to do a 30 minutes exercises or a 60 minutes exercises, this is the option. So this we call the HIIT, that is the high intensity interval training, where you can get the same benefits, even sometimes the better than the traditional aerobic training. It's about 10 minutes job, maybe 15 minutes, but you do interval training. How do you do interval training? You can do actually about 20 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes high intensity exercises, then suddenly you convert it to low intensity exercise. For an example, if you have a treadmill at your home, okay, you start running slow, about speed 4, 5, 2 minutes time, you increase up to 10 or 40, and then bring it back to again speed level 4 or 5. Do it only for 10 minutes. That means 2 minutes, 5 sessions, intervals. But remember, they have actually found out this is much more benefit than the traditional aerobic training. And it has a great improvement of your VO2 max, your oxygen carrying capacity, cardiovascular fitness, and also many other CVS benefits. So remember, even people who are with cardiac conditions, now we start straight away, because after clearance their exercise tolerance to the Bruce protocol or the treadmill test. So we actually getting, and sometimes we actually start with high intensity interval training for them. So this is much more benefit, and also it's good for us, good for you, because we can finish our job within 10-15 minutes time. We jolly well do the private practice and all these things, allocate more time for our other things. Right, so this is the resistance training program, right? So how we are going to do again the same way, dynamic stretching. And remember, here you don't need to go to the gym, or if you have a home gym with weights, you don't need to do 5-6 sessions. Maybe 2 sessions per week is more than enough. Maximum 3 is enough for general condition. But if you are interested of any other things to develop your body, or go into a like kind of a bodybuilding phase or something like that, that's different, right? And remember, we go on sets. So you can do 2 sets. Let's say now you take a dumbbells and you do bicep curls, 8 sets, and remain for about 90 seconds, and take another set. That's enough too. If you can go up to 4, yes, good. No need to do regular, like if you happen to go to a gym, what the gym instructors are doing, they have the Kokatatta idea on one schedule for everyone, okay, and they will give 8 sessions, 3 sets, go on this circuit, right? And they don't know the science, because unfortunately we don't have a system to educate. Now it is happening. But if you happen to do, yes, you can do only 2 sets is enough. Even in other forums, sometimes they say if you want to preserve your time, go for 1 set, right? Let's say if you want to do the bicep curl, 1 set, 10, 1 set. If you want to tricep, do the 10 set. If you want to do the push-up, go 10 set. 1 set is enough. Over the 6 month of period, they have now research has been done. Now it has been recognized that the benefits are more or less same in terms of general fitness and health condition. So you have so many options, right? And many people are scared. I mean, my goodness, do a dumbbell or maybe resistance training, and that's another headache. Okay, so how we can find? No, actually for us it's really good. But you will realize when you start doing it, actually transform your body. It gives you a lot of energy, so you will not get any feeling of tiredness, and also the aches and pains are being disappeared magically. So that's kind of a thing, actually. I mean, so many other benefits as well. So there's something called 1RM. So don't worry about these things, because 1RM is usually we consider the maximum weight that you can do only 1 repetition. Let's say I'm going to do a squat with a heavy weight, so I can do with 80 kilos only 1 repetition, but I can't do the second one. That is your maximum, but you don't need to worry about that thing. But initially you can start with a very small scale, but then you can increase your weight, right? And calisthenics is something your own body. P weights are there, which I show you, machine assisted I show you, and resistance band, which is a very important thing which I'm going to show you, because if you have resistance band, a set of bands which cost about maximum 3,000 rupees, you can take about 5 varieties, and you don't need a single instrument in your home. Only an empty room, you can do all exercises to your body, right? So many people are being misled by these commercial people that you need to buy this machine, you need to buy this machine for you to have the 6 packs of your abdomen, you need to do this machine. So all these are actually non-scientific based, only just marketing strategies, right? So these are calisthenic exercises. So very interesting, right? You can see this is wall push-ups. People who can't do this, you can do the wall push-ups. But you will get enormous of this. This is how you do. You put your 2 hands on the walls and take the entire body into, touch the almost touch the wall and come to the normal position again. And you can see here, but by doing about 1 or 2 weeks of this, you can transform your exercise into the original push-up positions, right? And this is, even if you are trouble of doing that, you can keep the knees down and you can do only with the upper body. You don't need to have the knees up and entire body in this position. So there are so many options. Then finally you can come on to this particular standard push-up. But triceps only you need a chair. Even now you can do your triceps exercises if you want to do, right? So this is how you keep your leg, hands, and go down and come back, right? You remember, make sure that your body is actually a superb machine for you to do the exercises. But if you are an 80 kilos the weight person, you know that while you are jumping, it is 4 times your weight is coming out to your lower limbs, and if you are just walking, about maybe 1.5 to 2 of your body weight is coming into your lower legs, and it's more than what we think. So what happened? So when you are doing any of the, if you don't not strengthening your lower limb muscles, all these the burden is coming to your joints. If you see the people who are doing exercises, their chances of getting osteoarthritis and the lower limb problems are extremely low. Why? Because their muscles are taking entire burden of the load, which is going to and destroy their meniscus over the time, and you can easily unload your joints, and you will not get the joint. And as you know, by this time, I think even many doctors, they find difficult to climb their steps, 3-4 stories, their houses, staircases, and they feel their joints are being aching. And the other thing is, even sometimes some people are difficult to get out from their own vehicles. They said, my back, my joint are being hurting. But if you really see it, it's the muscle weakness. And the sarcopenia is the cause. Whether you like it or not, with aging, your muscles, the cross sections, the size of your muscles is going to lesser and lesser. So it is 10% over 1 decade after 30 years. So you can think about, if you do not address your muscles, if you do not externally exercise them, they are going to reduce in size. In turn, then your strength, your capacities will go down. So these are lunges, right? So very good exercise for your gluteal muscles, hamstrings, the quadricep muscles, as well as the calf muscles, right? And these are the squats. You can see here the correct technique of the squats, where many people actually, this also fairly incorrect, but somewhat correct. You don't need to do this kind of, the forwarding of the knee. Try to maintain when you are doing the squats in a almost level, rather than going the knees forward. Because you will realize when you do it the correct technique, you will never actually load your knees, but quadricep muscles. Right. So these are the free. Okay, so these are some of the actually free weights exercises, but you need only a small set of dumbbells. If you don't have that, because we give the ordinary people to have a two plastic bottles filled with sands. Okay, small exercises. You can do these all exercises at your home. You don't need to go to a gym, because these dumbbells are there. You can buy it for about a very small amount. But good thing is we have fixed dumbbells, as well as we have only the small bar where you can load. Actually, you can buy the small weights. I mean, it's again a very nominal fee. Over the time, you can load and do your exercises, right? So ideally, I always, have a practical sessions with my lectures, but only thing is today we are not going to do it. But just to, showcase some of the things which we can do even at the higher level. So you can have many parts of your body can be exercised using these free bar weights and as well as the dumbbells, right? Right. Right. This is what I mentioned earlier, the resistance band, right? So we have this particular band. Actually, you can see this band. There are some bands which have a small handle, or you can have your rubber tubes like things. Only thing is, you don't need to have any instrument in your body to do the resistance exercise. This is called something called isokinetic exercises. The isometric exercises. We always, advise our bedridden patient to just contract their muscles and release it while on the bed. Why? That is called isometric, where you don't move your joint. If you are even now while sitting on, you can do tightening of your muscles and releasing. Tightening of your muscles, releasing. That's isometric. There's no joint movement. But if you are doing tonic exercises, all the exercises what we do, even if you are walking, getting down, these things all are isotonic. Why? The tone is being not changed during the movement, same tone, but you have a joint motion. Everything. But if you take this, the previous slide, the entire weight is static during your movements. Okay, but you do a movement that is isotonic. So what the advantage of having this resistance band is isokinetic, because when we do an exercise using a band, what happens? If you pull over the range of motion, the tension is building up. So when you come to the peak posture or the peak position, that is the maximum tension. So over the range of motion, the tension or the resistance is being changed. So that is called isokinetic. So isokinetic is the golden exercises for you to develop your muscles, prevent injuries, the back pains and all these things, and also to get the maximum benefit of resistance exercises. So you don't need to go and purchase huge amount of money on these home gyms and all these things, which you can have about the 5 levels of resistance band, because it comes in a color code. The lightest code is coming either pink or greenish color. Then the next color you can get about purple or bluish color, and you have the highest color in the silver mode, or the white. So you can easily go to any of these pharmacies. If you ask for TheraBands or the exercise bands, it's available in the market today, right? So, but these kind of the special like handle tubes or the exercise bands only available at the sports shop, but that is also freely available. I think even in Matale city also it's available. It's about 1,700 rupees per band. Again, you have different resistant colors you can choose. So you can see these exercises, right? All isokinetic movements can be done. So only thing is you just you can have enough and thousands of YouTube videos how to do the exercise using a TheraBand. You can do it. You don't need to have a professional, but you have to have a very control, and also to start with small scale you can do. So having not a single machine or single home gym or anything, you don't need to register for a gym and you don't have time to go it. You can do this marvelous exercise. So these are the new trends. I think it's what that I wanted to highlight as well as because a lot of benefits. You name it, any muscles of your body can be exercised using TheraBands or the resistance bands. So the resistance training, again, a very important thing, right? So you have to, bi-weekly or 2 weekly, if you can improve 10% of your capacity over the time, that's much benefit. So rather than doing the same schedule, because your muscles are get adapted and muscle need more resistance. Yes, you can increase your resistance and go. Okay. So especially what I mentioned, the sarcopenia, that's extremely important because you know the fragility and frailty of the elderly population. Now it is a high topic in geriatric medicine, and you may have come across your own patients, especially the elderly patients, how much difficult for them to mobilize with weak muscles. So if you keep on doing exercises, and also because that will reduce maybe 50% of their illnesses and post illnesses inactivity, post surgical inactivity, and all these things which actually now we are the real trouble in addressing the people, because now in Kandy Hospital with our intervention, I would say if you are going to any bed, even in surgical, orthopedics, even in chronic renal failure, medical wards, entire medical things, maybe diabetic, hypertension, cardiac problem, respiratory problems, you name it, even after viral fever, how we are doing to, the exercise, how you return to your normal activity, you have to have some parameters, and how do you come to active lifestyle, everything is now actually we have the guidelines, and we do practically, we go to patients, and while they're on the bed, we do exercises. So it's happening, but it's a very, huge task because we can't cover the entire hospital with a small, but we at least try to do some percentage. So we have very one-to-one actually communication with endocrinology unit and also the neurology unit, where almost all obesity people who want to do the weight reduction, they will be added exercise program other than their the dietary and the medication. Now diabetic control is, now we are taking up a considerable percentage of their hyperglycemic control through exercises, and so many areas, even the renal failure patient, almost all neurology people and cardiac rehabilitation part, actually we have a other than their traditional rehabilitation, we have exercise intervention. So many areas, and now the current trend is the ergonomics. And I think Dr. Alexandra is going to do another program with especially the staff problems with ergonomics, where they actually in a bad posture in their working the positions, and we get a lot of muscular problems, especially this musculoskeletal problem, where the solutions are there with biomechanics and how to maintain your posture and how do you actually improve your particular muscles to prevent ergonomically oriented, actually ergonomically, what do you want? Most of the people, they don't know that they are getting these problems based on their working posture. I mean, if you happen to drive for a long distance, and many of our, even the professionals, they doesn't know how to adjust their driving seat and how to adjust, how to keep their leg length in the seating arrangement, the leaning, the part of how to adjust, and they drive for hours. I know the consultants who are working in peripheral hospital, they are driving maybe once a week is maybe 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers. But unfortunately, many of them have back pains and also the leg pains at the end of the day, and especially the neck pains. I mean, the one and only cause of that, if you really analyze, it is the driving in a bad posture. So this is also comes under ergonomy. So even you are sitting here, so there are standard way of sitting. Even if you are sleeping, there are standard way of sleeping. So it has gone to that level. So sorry for some physically, but unfortunately, so we have to, think on different lines, right? Flexibility exercises, another very important thing, right? Remember, so many of us are feeling with tight muscles, and you can't avoid it because that's a natural adaptation. If you happen to do one task for a longer period, if you write about, the prescription for about, 3 hours, you will get tightness of the muscles of the hands, maybe shoulder, maybe neck. But it can happen to anybody, right? That's a natural defense mechanism of the system to restrict your unwanted or repeated movements. But you can't do it because we have to do the flexible exercises, so the stretching exercises, and we have, as I told you, dynamic and stretching exercises, and we are doing it. So these are some of the standard stretching exercises. You can see the neck, how the upper limbs are doing, the tricep muscles, right? Stretching exercises, and you can just can visualize, how to do the bicep stretching, okay, and also the posterior capsule of the shoulder stretching, okay, and you can see the back and the trunk muscle exercises, stretching the oblique muscle, stretching of the trunk, right, and the back muscles again. Actually, while you are doing this, you get the lumbar extension and abdominal stretch together, right? So whereas some of these exercises, because it's not the time to explain everything, but you can do a series of exercises. And if you have some tight muscles, tight part of your bodies, you can focus on that and do daily stretching program. And you will get, especially the back pains are relieved by doing just exercises to a great amount. So don't forget about these wonderful, things in our society where people are, now very high trend to, take up to yoga exercises and Tai Chi exercises. I don't know whether you know the Candy Hospital consultants, they have every Thursday evening yoga program. One of the yoga instructors is coming, and all the consultants in their consultant room, they remove all the chairs and they do regular yoga program. And I started a yoga program in Peradeniya Hospital, and especially focusing on the pregnant ladies. So we have a very ongoing program, but unfortunately, because of the COVID, we stopped it. Now we are planning to start again. If anyone who's doing yoga, please do. That's a wonderful way of doing exercises, because yoga has a different, intervention into your body parts, especially how it, alter your chemicals, your stress hormones levels, as well as the releasing of your stress. In the meantime, it actually give you a lot of stretching and flexibility for your body. But it is a kind of a psychological meditation like program as well, because it has a lot of combination. Actually, we have a different the way of looking at yoga exercises, though it is started as a traditional program in India basically, but it has been worldwide. Now with the sports medicine, there are a lot of research has been done on this yoga, and we have found a lot of benefits. Tai Chi is another exercise program, especially it's a Chinese based, and I think even Sri Lanka now it's becoming popular. Even some of the rural areas I have witnessed the Tai Chi programs are being now started. University, we have Peradeniya University, we have a small program. Okay, the balance exercises, you can do 1 to 2 days per week. I'm not going to talk everything. I just show you some of the balance exercises here. You don't need to have gain height. Use a chair, right? And you can do these balancing exercises, right? And you can have a, like, this is a clockwise, small things can be marked even on your floor, and you can use a board or something, using that, you can actually go through the entire legs using entire round using 2 legs. And you can see single leg and also some of the advanced exercises. And you can use these Bosu like instruments, but this is a very expensive one. It's cost about 50,000 rupees in Sri Lanka market. But these are one of, half balls. This is called Bosu. Even if you can purchase, your kids will love it. And they will do all, because this, our kids doesn't have the opportunity to go to skating, the wheel shoes, the exercises. We don't have that opportunity because that will actually improve your entire hip and the core muscle strength, right? But I mean, most of you guys might have, gone abroad and see how these kids are, because every time when they go on a skateboard, and because that they are balanced and they are, it's a very good thing to do. These are actually this good for us as well as our kids, because they will do a lot of balancing and things at home. And these are balance board actually. Again, you can use those things, and all these things are now freely available in the market in most of the places. Right. So I will just try to give you this example, because I just talk about everything on very standard exercises. But now I'm trying to actually to show you these things, and you can see the sedentary, less than 40% of your maximum. These are very sedentary exercises, driving a car. These are coming from the 5th edition 2017. That's a clinical sports medicine book, right? Driving a car, it's sedentary. No way how much you get distraction and stressed out in this thing, but it's sedentary. Sitting, watching television or reading, using a computer, right? So light activities, these are general activities. Walking casually, shopping, walking around office, yes. Eating and preparing food, playing, and I mean, if you are doing about 3-hour ward rounds, it's a massive amount of, the calorie burning. Very good for doctors because having standing work. Now, world is being changing from sitting position to standing, which I'm telling you in my next slide. And you can see brisk walking, right? Walking downstairs and down a hill. Because remember, the downstairs walking, we never thought that it is a moderate activity. We just thought it's just a passive motion of your body, towards the, the gravity. No, absolutely not. But they have found walking downstairs is a moderate activity exercises, right? Down a hill, cycling, general gardening or homestead. Actually, it's like cycling is one of the best thing if you can do. We already, some of the consultant group in National Hospital now, they have already started. Tomorrow, we are going to start an official cycling club in Teaching Hospital Therapy. So doctors, any staff member can join. We are going to inauguration program tomorrow. So it's going to be official cycling club. General gardening or a home cures, I mean, it's moderate. And go on, washing your car, maybe, home gardening, it's moderate. And vigorous, jogging or running, walking or climbing briskly up in a heart, right? Remember, walking down is a moderate. But if you just walk uphill, you don't need to run. It's vigorous, right? These areas are blessings actually, because we have enough hills, Kandy and the uphills, but unfortunately we don't use it. And cycling again, this is a uphill terrain, and dancing, high impact, right? If you have a party, make sure that you eat and don't try to, go away. Wait for the dancing, the part, and dance for about 1 hour. Pay extra amount to the music group, have a dance session, and go. I know many of our doctors, including, we go to the function and music is there. Just after the dinner, they just vanish, right? These are free opportunities to, have your energy burn, right? So official sports, which I'm going to not talk because, so many professional sportsmen are here, including tennis and right. This is another area where we should never forget step count. You all have your telephone always in your pocket or a handbag, or you're hanging on. Keep on your step count here. You can freely download. Or in my phone, it is automatically on, because any time of the day you can see how many step counts you have been done. So it is now at the moment it is my 2,225. Right? So target is 10,000 step count per day. So if you can make that 10,000, achieve that level, so you are being done actually. Okay, so this is free always try to achieve. What I do is actually what many of my colleagues are doing. So around 7 o'clock, we having done everything, we take it up. And my goodness, it's about 6,000 or 7,000 is being done. So obviously we know that after 7 p.m. we are not going to do the next 3,000 units. We do the exercise, we do running, we do like whatever. I just brisk walk and do, because there's a small walking path, nearby my house, and I try to at least finish that 3,000 and 10,000 be achieved. So there's a wonderful way of, because 10,000 per day step count from 12 midnight to next 12. So it counts like that, then automatically it becomes 0, right? So you cannot achieve just, if you are going to gym, even if you do a 3-hour workout, you cannot come to a 10,000 step count. So this actually based on the scientific data which have been done for over the years and to activate throughout the day. So it's very obvious. So now you have a very kind of a stimulation when you see at a particular time of the day, step count is not going to achieve 10,000. So you have the morale boost to, at least to cover. So you can easily do it because it's a free download app which is not installed in your system automatically. Most of the things are now being automatically installed, right? Right. You can have this step counters, which is, even for kids, you can have like pendants, like small gadgets. They love to do it, but even I don't know how practical it is. But for us, yes. And remember, if you want to do certain exercises, this is another principle where you have non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So remember, right? These are very important things. Why I am highlighting this? Because it's a matter of burning your energy at the end of the day. So this we have non-exercise activity, right? You can see sitting compared with the standing. You see 4 times, roughly 4 to 3 times you burn energy. Now they have done, I mean, you can see Google search and see sitting and disease. You will get thousands of papers. Now sitting is being identified as one of the major risk factor for your NCDs and many other problems. So most of the conferences, especially the sports medicine conferences, if you have 75 participants, we have only 35 chairs now. Half of the people are standing. For one lecture, the next lecture, these people are coming, the rest of the people are standing. Right? So this is the new trend. Even if you go to Malaysia and Singapore, the new offices, now they are being transformed, their sitting position to standing position work. Even in Sri Lanka, the mobile mask factories, the garment factories, now we have been changed the sitting sewing procedures to standing. Now they are doing something called dancing module now. Dancing module, they don't dance, but they just rotate themselves on standing way to different tasks. They don't specialize only in tasks. In earlier days, only one person who do the coloring part, only color. Then the shirt is put into the other one is doing only the this part, shoulder part. Now it is not like that. So they are doing everything, but they are being moving. But if you're tired, you have a small chair to rest for about 10 to 20 minutes. For 8 hours, they are doing standing work, nothing, no complaint. Right? So that's it. It's very important, right? So these are standards and world trends. And gum chewing, my goodness. I mean, dentists are there because they will be against in certain things with temperamental problems and all these things, but diabetes, non-sugar, but for a particular time, actually they can use chewing. But remember, the other wrong thing what we are doing when we are having our meals. If you want to, make a signal to, being satisfied your satiety center on meals, you need to at least have a meal for about 20 minutes. Okay. So what happened here? In traditional Sri Lankan meal, they spend about 2 hours to prepare 3 or 4 curries and rice and curry. And when he comes here, we open it up, 5 minutes done. It's polished. And even the satiety center doesn't know what has happened. And by chewing, okay, the masseter muscle has a very special, the way of, using the energy, they're using the ATP, and even by chewing about 20 minutes, 15 minutes meal, with using this one, you can burn a lot. You never thought of. These are the new research papers. So remember, even if you are eating, you can still burn your energy. So I think there are so many things. So stair climbing and walking and so many things. But remember, this is neat in another new concept in the world, and which we can use without any time allocation. So standing, chewing, right, all these things. So I just show some of these slides and I'm going to finish my talk. So you can see this physical activity recommendation. This is done by actually UK Chief Medical Officer's Physical Activity Guidelines in 2019, which has been recognized even by the WHO and many other organizations. Infants less than 1 year. 7 times per day interactive flow-based activity like crawling. But remember, actually this is actually the collective time. I think pediatricians will be agreed, because this activity, actually babies should not sleep with their tummy. The tummy, we call it the tummy activity. It's not the tummy sleeping time, but you turn the baby onto the other side, even the infant, and you watch and ask, stimulate the baby to, make some sounds and all things to just crawl out. They may not be in crawling, but maybe do some small activities. Try to, lift their head up. But collectively, 30 minutes per day is being encouraged. And toddlers, undoubtedly 180 minutes per day. You can think about our own child, what they are doing at the moment. Right? So we don't know. You have to incorporate them. If you are gardening, if you are washing your car, you can take them and come and wash baby, and you can ask them to play, and you can also play about half an hour, 15 minutes with them, ball or badminton or whatever. We don't know, right? And preschool, again, 30, 80 minutes per hour, right? So remember, so those are the guidelines. And when it comes to the children between 5 to 7 years, 16 years old, it is 60 minutes, more than 60 minutes per day. Strengthening exercises has to be started, right? Remember, now people have the fear that the small kids should not do the strengthening exercises. There are various myths that it will affect their growth, the bone length, cartilage. Those are all, being addressed and very well cleared through scientifically, nothing like that. But you have to have a monitoring system when they are doing resistance training. And 18 to 64 years, again, which I recommended, 150 to 370. And older adults, again, you can see as their tolerance. And pregnant and postpartum, we have a separate activity for them, right? Again, based on their the postpartum period, partum period, we actually go by different schedules, which is another important. In summary, so remember, some physical activity is better than none. So we always address you. Start with small amount physical activity and gradually increase the all told you. Better adhere to the FIT program, and physical and activity should be adapted to the own national context. I mean, that's the thing. So we can't tell everyone, because if you go to a village, now we have to do this HLC, healthy lifestyle, the clinics. So we actually, it was also not functioning because of the COVID. Now it has been back. So we have a special component, even in a very rural areas, we are trying to introduce them physical activity and exercises to cater and also suitable for their environment. Because if you happen to go to a rural village, I mean, they will ask, how can I exercise do, doctor, because I don't have maybe kids, or I'm just wearing skirt, and whether the surrounding people will look at me in a different way. So so many things. But we have clinics now in the NCD system. They can freely walk into the clinic in future, and they can do exercises at that particular clinic and go. So the community medicine system is now being introduced, that part as well. All behavior changes and acts to improve the total wellness, as I mentioned you, and it's a multidisciplinary team at the end of the day. So thank you very much. And before that, I'll just show few examples. What I will try to show is actually, if you just walk in, you just walk, just walk in. And walk straight and do fast. Because that will actually give you a lot of benefit, rather than just, let's say, I told you we do all the stuff like this, it's a normal thing we do, but these are static. Sometimes we do like this, okay, like this, all that. How we do dynamic? Okay, dynamics are small things. We do the same thing, like let's say we do the posterior capsular stretching like that. So what is this dynamic? While you do the exercise. Right. You keep the hamstrings like that, you have to stretch. You can do it, you just walk. 1, 2, 4. Right? And you do the dynamic. Or you can hold like this and do the dynamic. This is dynamic hamstring. Right? You can actually do it with a movement. So it became, and there are so many other things. So those are how you do. So likewise, there are, but actually that's why we want to have a program. But if you, as a community, if we can start a program, exercise program, regular program here in future. We can start a one real practical sessions, and we can keep on continuing. But likewise in Kandy and Peradini, now we can have a small cycle club, maybe fitness club here, and go to the next step, as a small community. So there are a few things like that. Actually, I just wanted to highlight, but I think it's the time also. Yeah, we started at 12:30 and it's now 35 past 1. So I conclude my lecture, and thank you very much for your very patient listening. And more than that, I like to see came to my own first place again and see my teachers, my senior colleagues, my batchmates, and my friends, all friends and colleagues. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I think I could address a small part of medicine, which is coming as a new specialty to enlighten your lives, and as well as to deliver it to your patient care. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions? Try to answer. Yeah. Yeah, the most of the ladies actually, if you take their fat distribution, we have recognized, especially some of them have a very high fat distribution over the arms. We have to really find it out whether it's a muscle or a fat, right? If you have a bigger muscles, yes, we can actually, rather than doing some resistance exercises, we can do dynamics as well as imposing some aerobic exercises, which can reduce the muscle size. But we want to make sure that the muscle is not yet weak. But you have a small muscle, but very strong muscle. So small muscle, but strong muscle. But most of the people, most of the ladies, actually the arms here is actually, it is due to the fat. Because we have more, for you to reduce fat, there is no way that that particular area can be targeted and do. So there are some methods, but there's no proven the results that if you do some, this target muscle, but there are some ultrasound like wave targeted things, but results are not promising. But if you really want to get rid of your fat, the best thing is to measure the fat percentage, which we can do, and visceral fat plus subcutaneous fat both. So that is based on aerobic activity. And you have to incorporate your meal plans, number one. So in fat reduction, the weight reduction, 70% kitchen, 30% gym, right? So your meal plan is a very crucial thing. We have so many, but if you try to do with nutrition only, we have seen these patients have become cachexics over the time. They look very ugly, right? And they complain, I was like that and I just reduced and my skins are going like. So, but if you incorporate into the physical activity, because they have a very controlled weight reduction, because our goal is to reduce only 0.9 kilograms per week, where you actually lose your fat. But people who are doing in that particular program, they never gain their weight. We have seen even the diet control people, they come to a certain level of energy, the metabolism regulation. From that point onwards, again, they start weight gaining, they complain. I was okay for about 2-3 months, again, I start gaining. But that weight gaining, you cannot overcome. That's a real problem. So if you incorporate exactly with the exercise program, we have a separate program for them, where we actually go by their level of, we assess, we see the fat percentage, and we then design the program. And in the extreme cases, we go for about 420 minutes per week, right? And there's a special program, right? So if you want to reduce your fat in any part of your body, whether it's irrespective of area, tummy or your hands, you have to incorporate into the more predominant aerobic program with resistance plan program than with the meals. Yes, answer is yes. We have a lot of testimonials. I mean, you can't imagine their body transformation after 3-4 months. We take their pictures and we start this program with dietitians as well. Sorry, nutritionists. Now we have the clinical nutritionist. That's a brilliant, inputs for us. And we have a combined program. So we are getting very good results.
One function, the other thing that what I exercise need to be trained with experience in the nature. For instance, doing exercise in a room, I think there is different from where you blend with the nature and go on a brisk walk outside. To compensate for that loss of that part in the nature, and then you get confined. For instance, the group work that the group work and interacting and then enjoying and then sharing. Now you told about that the government workers also now they own a rotation, so they enjoy kind of fun and then change the colors of the function. When you do aerobics in a group, it compensates that. So again now, what you expect by doing exercise is the long and the comfort of your life.
Yeah.
So you won't do aerobic, class structuring and things other than shaping up. So when it comes to this, the structuring, this part and things, it's the sheer forces in your arteries. That of course, there is a feedback from the muscles relaxing and pulling your activity down by doing exercise. But if you are stressed up and do exercise, at the end of the day of your heart and go and do that, that is not good either.
Yeah.
And I mean, whether you try to compensate for the lost fix and completely, it's far better to enjoy it, to exercise, rather than become exercise. When you have to avoid my short form, you need to do exercise to the body and the mind as well. And the mind is more important and enjoying it, reducing the adrenaline and extra because you use the sheer force of the inside that.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Yeah, absolutely, sir. Because now that is the new trend, right? Absolutely. There's no argument, and this is a new trend. Now that's what I told this. All these physical activities are now focused on as you said, some outdoor or maybe out activities which you actually enjoy your life. For an example, now people who are now very high trend to do the climbing, this trekking and mountain climbing and all these things. And now surfing is one of the world, the newly popular game, because I mean, for you to go to surfing, it's kind of a pleasure, and also you targeting on a very high level activity, pleasurable activity. You know that any hydrotherapy dealing with water is a very pleasurable for many individuals. And for, I mean, if you go and open up a channel in one of the, the surfing channel in USA, years of training, aerobic training and these things, and they enjoy. And for them to have a nice beginning and get into the surf, the plate and do a surfing. I mean, if you happen to go to even Arugambe here in Sri Lanka, you see how these surfers, their bodies, they have been done it for years to, come and have a nice surfing. That itself is a pleasure, and they are targeting. And if you see the people who are doing that, environmentally blend activities, now they half of their activities now they are trying to do with that particular, the outdoor activities. Even now the current trend, if you take yoga, Tai Chi, Tai Chi, I mean, you have nice riversides, the platforms and all these places. If you go to China, even in Australia, right? If you go to the Sydney and you see in the morning, if you happen to walk 5:30, hundreds of people in the Sydney is riverside, the seaside area, because they just do morning exercises. It's a kind of art that they do, because the most of Chinese are there because they started that, they are doing. So even sometimes yoga exercises, they go to a very shady places and also the like greenery places, and they do it. So that's actually the new trend, because I think if you, I mean, the same thing is now little like the trends are there in the island as well, because today we happen to go to Independence Square because it's all open and people, see the greeneries, and now they tend to do it. Even if you happen to go to many the walking tracks, I mean, this is being alone, maybe a water stream or maybe a greenery path. So it's there.
I wanted to highlight that giving all these things work out and then doing it in the, very stuffy bedroom.
Yes.
Or at a time, maintain 5:30 the schedule.
Yeah.
It's not very productive. And if you do that, not that productive,
Yeah.
especially towards the end of the day.
It is a how you actually, now that is also being discussed, because over the years, because new research has been also done. But it's, as you said, I mean, it should not be a burden. I mean, if you are doing a workout, you must, introduce in a way that it should not be a stress factor, another stress factor. So this is how we do actually. So now we adapt them, we introduce them a lot of variations. But throughout the day, yes, you don't need to do this particular 5 days stress, the 60 minutes, no. Because that's what the last slide, I told moderate, yes. One day you can do gardening. Just brisk walking in somewhere. If you have a nice hilly area, just have a walk and come back. 75 minutes is you have done your job. So likewise, because, but anyway, we need to have a standard protocol. Otherwise, people, they lose their integrity, because that is the difficult part. So if you have some goal at the end of the day, so we can, I totally agree.
Low scale and work.
Yeah.
And enjoying your mind is Navani famously
Yeah.
And what? And he used to, wipe with the floor, the temple animal. 24 hours or more.
Yes.
He lived close to 100 years. Oh, more than that. But this is the hardly do the hobby exercise. I'm not discouraging.
Yeah, yeah.
I told that how you enjoy spiritually as well as the exercise and then blending the environment.
Yeah. And there are also some meditation techniques. You don't need to do any physical activity. You can stretch and you can burn energy a lot, which we don't know actually. We have not developed our, I mean, the mental conditions, up to reach that level, because there are some case reports and they have been like, we are doing some half an hour, we do the, the energy and their levels, sugar levels, everything, like we can see their levels, and same levels may be achieved by some people just by doing meditation, but that's a different level of, mindset, which we don't know actually how they do it. You are absolutely correct. That's what's a simple base, even yoga, for a general people can some influence, as you mentioned. Yes. Okay.
Okay. End of the first day of investment, another investment. I deem it a great pleasure to propose vote of thanks of this special day. And first and foremost, I thank for accepting our invitation and coming all the way from Kandy and delivering the very enlightening lecture. And it is a very lively program, I suppose, and we hope that we will get you soon here for another practical session. As you said, I suppose all of you will agree and hope for the best. And I thank all the participants here for being with us today, and those who have joined via Zoom. And it's a very lovely, lively program. I hope you all had a very good day today. And before winding up the session, I, on behalf of Martha Clinical Society and the audience, I again thank Dr. Asela Ratnayaka, senior registrar in sport and exercise medicine, National Hospital Kandy, for giving us so many information and very informative lecture. And this is the end of session today. Your lunch will be served here, and I hope that you will take about 10 or 15 minutes to chew and have the exercise for the masseter. And hope we will see you. You are doing exercise here and there, and hope and also we are trying to have a practical session about 1 to 2 days per week. We'll let you know in the group. Okay, thank you. Good day for you.
I was very much interested in the work here as well, and